All right, first tonight we have a couple of public hearings on the docket. The first one is the public hearing on the contract for our superintendent, Dr. Briggs. Contract has been posted. Anytime that a change is made to a superintendent's contract, it has to have a public hearing. As you guys know, over the last couple of months, we've done collective bargaining, given pay increases to all staff members. And at this time, we will open up for any comments on the new contract for Dr. Briggs. And basically, the contract is a 5% pay increase, which is the minimum increase that any and all employees were given this year. In addition to that, we have a one-time rollover of 9 vacation days. The reason for that is we've kind of had a little bit of a year where he hasn't been able to use very many vacation days for things that we've asked to get done in a certain period of time. So at this time, we'll invite anybody up. You don't have to sign to talk, but you're more than welcome to take the mic. We have none. First public hearing is over. The second one is on Dr. Briggs. If I will have you go ahead and do all the totals, because I know you've got how the appropriations are set. But due to the fact that we've had the 1300 fund, which is the money that for shared services that have come together, our budget's going to change just a little bit. And for any time that we do that, it requires a public hearing.
Yes, good evening. So every year, the Department of Local Government Finance, they approve us to spend a maximum amount of dollars called our appropriations. Now keep in mind, just because we have an appropriation doesn't mean we have the money to spend it, but typically we will not be granted appropriations unless we can afford that number. That with our 1300 fund needing to be resolved, we're requesting this evening on the board's agenda is a resolution to approve an additional $1 million in appropriations for the education fund. The grand total of our portion of the 1300 fund is approximately $2.7 million. We do not need additional appropriations to equal that because we do have a cash balance in our education fund that will help offset that increased cost. So tonight, right now, public hearing to allow any community member to speak for or against or to ask questions concerning the additional appropriations request. And then the board, if they so choose, will need to approve the resolution actually approving the appropriations. And then DLGF will be given what is approved here this evening, tomorrow, and then DLGF will ultimately have to grant those additional appropriations.
This time, do we have anybody that'd like to speak on behalf of the appropriations? We do not. Public hearing number 2 is over. All right. This time we'll call the Silver Creek School Corporation regularly scheduled board meeting to order at 6:36 p.m. At this time, if we could, please rise. If Ms. Franklin would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today humbled. We have so much to be grateful for, but also at this time we ask prayers for a multitude of reasons. Number one, we ask that you wrap your arms around the Oxford, Michigan families who suffered a grave loss. Also the families that were affected by the tornadoes and the devastation through the south central part of Kentucky and the southeast. We ask that you please pray for them. Also recently we've had a lot of corporation family members who've passed away, and at this time we know it's difficult. with the upcoming holiday season. Ultimately, we ask that you put a little extra special care on one of our students today, Spencer Durham, as he laid his mother to rest as a ninth grader. Lord, we ask you to bless board member Joe Basham as he's hospitalized right now, and that all his tests come back positive. And at the end, it's just like every time. We ask that you help us make the best decisions that we can for our staff members, our students, and our community. And it's in your name we pray. Amen. Roll call. Ms. Franklin,
Present.
Ms. Overberg,
Present.
Mr. Groen,
I am here.
and I am also present. As mentioned, Mr. Basham is ill. He is hospitalized right now, and we wish him all the best. And Dr. Briggs, do we have any emergency additions or revisions to the agenda?
Yes, we do. We've got a total of 4 additions. First of all, number 3, approval of minutes, letter C, executive session, November 9th, 2021. Number 4, reports and announcements, letter F. Number 1, future meetings, Tuesday, January 11th, 2022, a regular meeting at 6:30 p.m. here at Silver Creek Primary School. Number 5, curriculum and student services, letter C, an update from the health services team. And number 8, consent agenda, letter C, Roman numeral 5, under leaves and retirements, number 3, Christina Duncan, FMLA, effective December 29th, 2021. And that is it for emergency additions.
We have any questions on the emergency additions or revisions to the agenda?
I just had a question about which one was the second revision?
Number 4, on reports and announcements, letter F, future meetings.
Okay, I thought you said there was one before that.
No, just except for the first one under the approval of minutes, letter C, for the executive session on November 9th.
Okay.
Any other questions? We've heard the superintendent's emergency additions. Do we have a motion to approve?
I so move.
Ms. Overberg makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Franklin seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We have a few approval minutes. The first one is on the regular board meeting, November 15th of 2021. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Groen makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Ms. Overberg seconds. All of those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Executive session meeting, November 15th of 2021. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Groen makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Franklin seconds. All of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Executive session, November 9th, 2021. All those in favor, please say aye. I'm sorry. I apologize. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Groen motions. Do we have a second?
I second.
Ms. Overberg seconds. All of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Executive board meeting on November 18th, 2021. Do we have a motion to approve?
I so move.
Ms. Overberg makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Groen seconds. All of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Lastly, we have work session November 29th of 2021. We have a motion to approve.
I so move.
Ms. Overberg makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Franklin seconds. All of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Briggs, you have school reports?
Yes, I do. From Silver Creek Primary. Silver Creek Primary would like to thank Lacey Niehaus, the Silver Creek Primary front office staff, and our many Silver Creek Primary community members for making our Santa's Helpers program such a success, serving 30-plus families, 80 children in total. This is a huge undertaking, and we are grateful for everyone's contribution to support our families. We would also like to recognize the transportation team for continuously putting safety first and going above and beyond for all bus riders and families. From Silver Creek Elementary School, we'd like to thank Jacqueline Good and the office staff for all their work on our Santa's Helpers program. We are serving over 40 families and ensuring they are blessed this Christmas with over 80 students. Thank you for your hard work. I'd also like to thank Mrs. Anderson and the third grade team for organizing and collecting items for the Silver Creek Food Pantry this Thanksgiving. They donated 50 boxes and bags full of all the side items families would need for their Thanksgiving dinner. From Silver Creek Middle School Spell Bowl team finished 30 out of 65 schools. We would like to recognize Addie Carter, who was named for a perfect speller in the Spell Bowl competition for spelling all round 1 and round 2 words correctly. We would also like to recognize Silas Fleming, who will be competing in FBU Team Indiana Football Team National Championships Regional Round in Kansas City. We're excited to see a Silver Creek helmet on such a prestigious team. From Silver Creek High School, we would like to commend Pat Anderson for his years of service as our varsity girls soccer coach. He improved our program and had tremendous success. More importantly, he worked very hard to develop teamwork, strong work ethic, and competitiveness that has served the athletes very well now and in the future. He led the program with class and dignity and represented Silver Creek extremely well. We will miss him. We will miss seeing him out on the soccer field. Congratulations to senior Sarah Elder for earning ISCA Honorable Mention All-State for Girls Soccer. Congratulations to freshman Cam Smith, whose artwork was chosen by the Ozone leaders and will be the design on the 2021-2022 Ozone shirts. Congratulations to Silver Creek High School seniors Callie Moffitt, Isabel Odell, and Meredith Voigt. They were selected as representatives of Silver Creek High School to attend the Pearl Harbor Memorial Parade, December 4th through the 8th. Izzy, Callie, and Meredith will perform with the Varsity Spirit All-Americans in an exclusive performance prior to the opening ceremony of the parade, and then be a part of the parade before thousands of fans lining the streets of Waikiki Beach. This trip marks the 80th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. Congratulations to Silver Creek High School senior Isabel Odell, who was selected as the Silver Creek High School candidate for the Silver Creek Holiday Tourney Queen Contest. Congratulations to Silver Creek High School senior J.C. Stricker. She recently signed to play golf at Transylvania University in Lexington, Kentucky. Congratulations to Silver Creek High School senior Trey Shane on being named to the 4A senior All-State football team. Congratulations to Silver Creek High School senior Kennedy Mason Stuyvesant, who recently joined the 1,000 Point Club for girls basketball. And congratulations to 1997 Silver Creek graduate Matt Wren on being named to the 2022 Silver Anniversary team. Condolences to Rebecca Lee for the loss of her mother, Mary Lynn Watson. Condolences to Megan Sheffield for the loss of her grandmother, Mary Young. Condolences to Adam Farley for the loss of his father, John Farley. Condolences to Erica Schwartz for the loss of her husband, Dave Schwartz. Condolences to Beth Robeloff for the loss of her father, Gary Thompson. In future meetings, again, as previously stated, our next regular scheduled board meeting is Tuesday, January 11th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. here at Silver Creek Primary School. And that is it.
Thank you. Ms. Hawkins, do you have SC spotlights and board updates?
Can you hear me now? Okay. We'll just start with what is on the agenda tonight as a spotlight for Dr. Eckert, finishing his EDD program at Oakland City University by defending his dissertation on PK through 12 teacher perceptions of burnout during the COVID-19 pandemic. Silver Creek School Corporation values his hard work and dedication to continuous learning and professionalism as the leader of Silver Creek High School. So congratulations to Dr. Eckert. Some other board updates for today. Since I haven't been here for several weeks, I'm sort of playing catch up today, so I have lots to talk about. In November, Silver Creek High School started a comprehensive review of all school programming that will take place over the next year. In January, surveys will be sent to students, teachers, parents, and community members. Data gathered will help shape the school improvement process, so please be on the lookout for these surveys. Silver Creek High School would like to congratulate the 12 seniors that are graduating at midterm. Kirsten Allen, Rose Ballard, Clay Zarnecki, Elena Dyke, Malayla Harris, Kaya Kimmer, Michael Lowry, Jose Mendez Jr., Cadenzi Powell, Jenna Smith, Sarah Whitlock, and Alex Wilson. The Silver Creek High School Band recently held 2 flex concerts for our students. Both shows were packed with students and were a huge success. Starting in January of 2022, Silver Creek High School counselors will begin implementing a program called SOS, Signs of Suicide. SOS has been used by thousands of schools over the past few decades. Studies have shown that it effectively teaches students about depression and suicide while reducing the number of students' self-reported suicide attempts. Through the program, students learn that depression is treatable, so they are encouraged to seek help, how to identify depression and potential suicide risk in themselves or a friend, to act, ACT, acknowledge, care, and tell a trusted adult if concerned about themselves or a friend, and who they can turn to at school for help if they need it. More information will be sent home to parents the first week back to school. If parents have any questions or concerns about this educational opportunity, please feel free to reach out to your child's designated counselor at the high school. As always, we respect parents' right to choose participation for their children. Information about how to opt your child out of participating will be available in that letter. Silver Creek School Corporation would like to provide a special thank you to the Katie Sue Foundation for their generous donation last year to support and help us to provide this opportunity for students at Silver Creek. Silver Creek Primary would like to celebrate the intentional work of their academic team. They call it their A team. Maggie Epke, Dawn Hall, Heather Smith, Regina Hillenband Moore, and Lacey Niehaus have worked tirelessly to implement a solid RTI process this school year. Through intentional instructional practices, clear documentation, and consistent follow-up, the 3 tiers of instruction needed to support student learning and academic growth are solid at Silver Creek Primary. So thank you to our A-team members at the primary for their time and diligence. Tonight, I'd like to give a special spotlight to the Silver Creek Foundation and recognize their efforts and assistance in helping the Silver Creek School Corporation close educational gaps caused by the pandemic. I had this update a while back, so if there's anything I need to add, please let me know. But these are just a few of the things that the foundation has helped in our schools. $8,000 has been spent on math professional development that supports learning math conceptually with high quality professionals such as Graham Fletcher and Robert Kaplinski. $12,000 has been spent on supplies given to Silver Creek School Corporation teachers. The foundation has 12 employees who push in to classrooms during the school day to support students, and a total of 50 employees serving approximately 350 students in the after-school program. They have 2 buses transporting students home from the after-school program, but recently had to add a 3rd bus, and potentially on continued interest, there could be a 4th added in January. So we appreciate all of the assistance the foundation has been able to provide to the students at Silver Creek and look forward to our continued partnership. To conclude tonight's report, I'd like to ask Nurse Sherry Stouffer to come forward to provide an update on COVID.
Okay. Are they prepared to put that slide up? Yes. Okay. This is just some information showing where we are. This chart starts after we did begin wearing masks again. That week, the number of positives, 27, reflects what we had been going through leading up to that time. Then on the far right column, those are the close contacts that we monitor. As you can see, as we go through the weeks, large numbers that would normally have to be sent home if we were not wearing masks. But instead, we just call families and let them know there has been an exposure when it would have happened, and ask that they monitor their children for 2 weeks for symptoms. And so these are showing the numbers. The row that is highlighted was when we came back from, well, that was the week we were on vacation, I believe. And then below that, you see where there was an uptick in cases just due to probably family gatherings and people being out in the community more. So,
Below the 12.6 to 12 foot, we do not have the most recent. But it was very.
Sorry, sir. If you're going to speak, please speak into the microphone. Sorry.
If we were to add the most recent week under the 12.6 to 12.12, the positivity rate is very similar to what we've seen from November 29th to December 12th. And one of the main things that jump out to me here is that without our mask on, those number of close contacts to monitor would have become quarantines. And those numbers there are just minimums because without mask, we would extend our radius to 6 feet for contact tracing. And so I want to thank Allison and her team for the work they continue to do. Our schools are still seeing the spread. And I go back to Labor Day when the board made their most recent approval of our plan. The number one priority was to keep kids and staff in school, and to date we've accomplished that.
yes.
So we don't know what tomorrow will bring, but right now we're all in school and we're learning, and it doesn't look the way we would prefer it to look. But I think the principals would attest that as far as education getting back to what we consider to be normal, we're about as good as we can be right now.
Yes. Thank you.
Any board have any questions for Ms. Stover? Thank you. Mr. Balmer, Finance and Operations.
Balance of $4,602,770.28. So looking at just the month of November for what we brought in and what was expended. So our receipts, what we brought in for November, $1,972,806.34. And our expenditures for this month, $1,561,341.62. That is up a little bit from October. Keep in mind, in November is when our bargaining units raises went into effect that we approved for teachers and counselors. So that is when they first saw that reflection on their pay stub, and then also the back pay that went with that. So that's for the little increase you may see there. Period to date for the entire year up to the end of November. So we brought in $18,775,236.53. And our expenditures through the end of November, $12,516,486.08. Right now, with an ending balance of $8,522,978.88. And I'm glad to say this should be the very last time I have to say this. That is inflated about $2.7 million. And the reason for the resolution tonight is that we are going to reconcile that $1,300. And get that claim paid out, and then that'll come out of our education and zero out the $1,300 fund, and we can close the books on that. Moving to our operation fund, began our budget year 2021 with $1,353,306.92, and just focusing in here on November on what we brought in our expenditures, we receipted in $416,895.35. We spent, our expenditures were $511,183.17.
Since operation is tax driven, that's usually comes from our property taxes, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But essentially, you do see an increase in that receipt, and that is due to the property reimbursement. We bought some property out of the 21 bonds for projects and upcoming, but due to the fact and the timing of when those were released, we paid for it out of our operations up front, and then we reimbursed ourselves out of the 2021 bond money. So that's why you see an increase there. Going to our year-to-date receipts and expenditures through November for operations, we have receipted in $5,560,615.62. And our expenditures through November, $5,839,796.76, with an ending balance in our operations fund of $3,449,106.72. And that, as I alluded to, this is mainly driven from property taxes. We have received our December settlement, and you will see that reflected on the December financial report. A couple other items. Glad the state did send us our teacher appreciation grant money on December 3rd. One thing to note on that, that's a very quick turnaround. You got 20 days to get that paid out to teachers. And what that is any qualifying teacher, well, if they received an effective or highly effective rating in last year, qualified for that grant. And so I just want to give a few thanks there, and that's to our SCTA who worked with us to identify all the teachers. So Ms. Schwartz and Mr. Hankins, Ms. Miller, our HR who worked as well, and of course our payroll who had to turn that around very quickly, but we just got that paid that out to our qualifying teachers last Friday, and it was a nice thing to see on their check right before we roll into break here. So that was a great thing. We have received our 1782 report, which is from the DLGF, which is our 2022 budget. I'm reviewing that with Matt Reese and Dr. Briggs tomorrow. We have 10 days to respond if there's any corrections to be made. So we'll be looking that over very well, but then we'll be able to set our appropriations for the 2022 budget. Going into operations, a couple of highlights there. Want to give a shout out to our facilities director and Miss Myers who worked. We needed some updates to our playground there as far as mulching goes at the elementary playground. It was very well needed, and they did a great job as course coordinating. It may seem like not a huge job putting a little mulch down, but we put quite a bit of mulch down and scraped it down, and we got it right, and it looks good. So it was a nice update to that playground. Also want to give our cafeteria crew, Mr. Sinclair, our director. We recently at our primary school, we lost quite a bit of our staffing there due to some close contacting. And Mr. Sinclair and his staff did a tremendous job of making sure those little friends there that I think Miss Campbell always calls them, our little friends, that they got fed as usual, and everything went on. But that was quite a bit of movement there to get that all worked out with the loss of that staff for that temporary period. So a great job to the cafeteria staff. Just a reminder, we are still looking for help on our operation labor side. We've opened up some opportunities to our classified and certified for an opportunity to make some additional money while we're trying to fill some voids. But if you know anybody that's interested, and we just recently did bump our pay up quite a bit and looking for some great candidates there, so we can always use some additional help. But hopefully we'll get those filled soon and get our operations fully staffed. And any questions from the board?
Regarding the tag money, I was just curious what the averaged per teacher that they got from the...
I believe it was $560, right around $565. On average, would be around $600 something on average. $630, something like that would have been the average. If you want a specific on that, I could.
No, I was just
Yep.
roundabout.
Yep, right about $630 would be the average amount.
Any other questions for finance or operations? All right, at this time we have opening for community input. Beth, do we have anybody that signed up? All right, we have Calvin Bright. Calvin, you'll have 3 minutes. Mr. Balmer, if you'll give him a 1 minute check-in, that when he's got a minute left, we'd appreciate it. Go ahead, Calvin.
Hi, good evening. I'm here because I'm concerned that the Silver Creek design team and board would consider concreting in the high school's courtyards. However, I think this is a mistake. Green spaces are a matter of mental health and academic success. Schools with green spaces note lower levels of stress and quicker stress recovery, and students are less likely to experience depressive episodes. This is because all research shows that natural green courtyard spaces lead to increased mental health and happiness. This is especially important because Indiana has noted higher rates of mental disorders associated with stress and anxiety in the past few years. Aside from those benefits, natural courtyard spaces promote academic success. Research shows higher engagement and concentration, increased working memory, it reduces inattentiveness. Overall, educational quality improves because outdoor time acts as a mental refresher for all human beings of all ages. Lack of accessible green space threatens students' mental health and forgoes the opportunity to strengthen their academic success. I understand that maintenance may be a concern, but there are other options that should be considered before paving. This includes turf grasses that have a limited amount of growth and that require no watering. This includes fescue and clover and different types of things. It seems that with minor irrigation, outdoor features, such as tables and minor paving for communal spaces, a turf grass lawn, and some shading, this could be a no maintenance, no mowing, and no watering green space that serves students, teachers, and staff alike. This could also serve as an opportunity for outdoor meeting spaces for teachers and students, zen and calm down spaces, school and club gardens, potential for educational space. Currently, students and teachers see concrete walls for 7 hours a day. I know I was a student at Silver Creek High School, and that particularly bothered me. Throughout my time at Silver Creek, Throughout my time at Silver Creek High School, I would make negotiations with teachers that if I finished my work early, I could go to the small courtyard next to the library, because I knew I had theater after that where I wouldn't get to be outside till dark. And so that time to be outside and to unwind for just a few minutes before my next class really served me during my time at Silver Creek. I would like to see a Silver Creek that embraces its natural outdoor spaces for the sake of students and teachers alike for years to come. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Dr. Briggs, the consent agenda?
Yes. Okay, consent agenda, we have under letter A, Roman numeral 2, 3, I'm sorry, under 2A, Roman numeral 3, Roman numeral 4, letters A through U, Roman numeral 5, Roman numeral 7, and under 7 we have letter A through E, and Roman numeral 8. Under letter C, we have Roman numeral 1 and letter A, Roman numeral 2, letter A 1 through 4, letter B 1 through 4, Roman numeral 5, numbers 1 through 3, letter E, Roman numeral 1, 2, letters A through C, and Roman numeral 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's it on consent agenda.
Any questions on the consent agenda?
I just had a question about the IXL. I was thinking that we already approved a 3-year license at the last meeting. Was that not correct?
That's to reflect that we're paying for the first year, and then we'll be billed. It is a 3-year license. I apologize if I overlooked that. It's a 3-year license, but we pay for year 1 up front, and then next year we'll be billed for year 2, and then the next year for year 3, and then we'll make a decision whether to renew or not based on how we want to utilize the ESSER funds.
Okay.
Sorry
So at the last meeting, we were just approving the 3-year contract, and this is approving the funds to be paid for that first year.
That is correct.
Yep. Okay.
Any other questions on the consent agenda? If not, do we have a motion to bring it to the floor?
I so move.
Mr. Grohl makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Ms. Overberg seconds. Do we need any discussion?
Sorry, I probably jumped ahead on that.
No. Questions before we can discuss now.
Okay.
Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. On to discussion action items. In the board packet, you will see the revised pay scales. At this time, do we have a motion to bring the approval of the revised pay scales to the floor?
I so move.
Ms. Overberg makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Groen seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. In your board packet, you also have the request to approve to move specific classified employees to their appropriate pay scale and level. Do we have a motion to bring that to the floor?
That's a move.
Mr. Groen makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Franklin seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Request approval to move specific employees to the appropriate level on the special services pay scale, also found in your board packet. Do we have a motion to bring that to the floor?
I'll make that motion.
Ms. Franklin makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Ms. Overberg seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Discussion action item D, request to approve the position of an assistant principal at Silver Creek High School. We have a motion to bring that one to the floor.
I so move.
Ms. Overberg makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Franklin seconds. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I noticed we're bringing the assistant principal for the high school to the floor, but I don't see any discussion about assistant principal at the primary. I'm just wondering what led to weighing the high school assistant principal position more weighty than the other?
Great question. So we're bringing the high school position now because we want to get it posted as soon as possible to get them some help. And talking with the primary school, they would like to post in the spring and have someone start this fall.
Okay, so they were good with waiting.
Yes.
Okay.
What are you seeing at the high school that requires an additional principal, assistant principal?
Dr. Ecker, do you want to come up to the podium and address any of these? By the way, it's going to take me just a little while to get used to doctor instead of mister.
Yeah.
Sounds good,
Forgive
though.
me.
It never gets old, Doctor.
Good ring.
When I came to Silver Creek, there were 2 assistant principals that were working there, and since I took the job, I was told that they would revisit that in January, which was 6 months later. It never was revisited. The primary reason we need an assistant principal is we just need help with discipline and attendance. Those are the 2 glaring areas that we have a lot of trouble taking care of. Discipline, it pretty much monopolizes Mr. Losey's time, and discipline has gone up this school year, but I end up spending about half my day on discipline as well. So getting around to classrooms and doing the teacher evaluations and having to follow up conferences and planning for PLCs and all the other things that we have to do just makes it very difficult. It was a position that was there when we only had 850 kids, and now we have around 900 kids, and the need hasn't gone away. So
if I remember correctly, 2017, when we had the budget cuts, is when Miss Gilbert had resigned.
right, she
And then
resigned and
it was-
they didn't fill
And
it.
then it was, we're not going to fill this right now. We'll revisit in 6 months. I do remember that.
Yes.
Are you asking for an assistant principal versus the dean of students because of the discipline factor? Is assistant principal can discipline, but a director of student services
Well,
can't?
I would be very happy with just a dean, but Dr. Briggs indicated we had it in the budget to get an assistant principal. What an assistant principal does is it allows that person to do teacher evaluations.
Okay.
Which we have a lot of teachers, so that would help with that load. That's about the only thing that would be different.
Okay.
Is it common?
Well, that and you have to have an admin license for certain disciplinary actions.
Yeah, it helps, and someone that has an administrative license obviously has more experience and more knowledge of what they're doing. So, more knowledge of school law and things of that nature that come in very handy.
And based on our school size, typical of 2 assistants versus 1, and 1, like 1 dean, 1 assistant, and 1 principal.
Based on our school size, it's typical to have your principal plus 2 assistants.
Okay.
What were we looking at bringing this person in at?
It would be based on their experience, and then we would also compare it to our current administrative staff and say, drop them in somewhere that we feel is appropriate.
Okay.
And if we were to bring in a dean, it would be less. They would be brought in on the teacher pay scale because they wouldn't have an admin license. So there is definitely a difference in cost, but there's also a difference in
What they can do.
applicants.
It would concern me too, putting them in a spot where they couldn't handle, where they wouldn't legally be allowed to handle certain disciplinary actions. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a spot for them too?
I'm sorry?
Do we have a space for them at the high school?
Yeah, well, we would probably move them over where the counselors are right now, next to the attendance secretary.
Okay.
We'd have to shuffle some people around, but we do have space.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none. All of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the request to approve the payment of a stipend equivalent to the tag stipend to specific staff members. We have a motion to bring that to the floor.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Grohl makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Ms. Overberg seconds. Any discussion needed? Sorry. Hearing none. I'm sorry. Did you have some-
Yeah. Could you specify like the amount you're talking about and what kind of staff?
You got it? Yep.
The past counselors have been factored in to our teacher appreciation grant. Just for the services they deliver, they've always been lumped into that. But if you look at the definition of a teacher in Object Code 110, where direct instruction has to be 50% of the time in a classroom setting, the counselors do not meet that requirement. There's been quite a bit of change on moving people into the different object codes that were created by the state, and so with recognizing that, and how we've always included them in the past, we cannot pay that out of the tag grant because they do not qualify. So we're asking to continue with past practice, but we will fund that out of the education fund, and we do have appropriations available to do so.
What type of staff would that include? Like speech pathologists, like classified, what staff?
Just counselors.
counselors?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And it would be roughly around the 630, like the teachers got?
It would be exactly the same based on the rating that they received in the 2020-2021 school year.
So you said in past practices, is this an ongoing request? Is this going just for this school year, or is this going for indefinite?
I would bring it up each year.
You bring it
because
up?
we always want to, if we're asking the board to pay something that's out of the ordinary, that's not been approved.
Yeah.
Thanks. And this also just and Rachel, I think it was Rachel asked the amount, and I have looking at it here. If you're highly effective, it's $712.78. If you're effective, it's $570.22, which is about the average of $600 and some dollars.
Gotcha.
Typically, we would also include our certified librarians on this. I believe we have one. However, that individual taught virtual last year, so by definition qualifies under the tag dollars. But moving forward to future years, as long as they're not teaching the 51% or more of their day is not teaching kids, rather virtually or in the classroom. So next year, if we bring this back again, it would be our counselors plus another individual as well.
So just so I understand correctly, you're taking the money that we received from the grant, identify certain staff that you feel could qualify, and then dividing that amount up to them? Or there's a certain amount already that's stated that you have to give them?
Yeah, we have a certain amount from the grant, which I think 110,000, let's say. That gets divided up amongst certified teachers who are teaching, who their primary job is to instruct students.
So they have to have a teaching license.
Yeah, and in the past, they have been these individuals, these 4 individuals have been included in that. That is incorrect. They should not have been.
Right.
So in order to continue what we've done, we recommend paying them out of our education fund.
But going forward, have you communicated that expectation that since they've received it in the past and they were not supposed to, that going forward they may not?
I don't believe that has been communicated. I would
Because you're making
welcome-
a special circumstance this time to be able to pay that in case they
Correct.
were in addition, counting on that or expecting that. But going forth, it shouldn't be necessarily an expectation, correct?
I would agree with that. That should be communicated as we move forward. I would welcome direction from the board on how you guys want to proceed.
That's why I asked you.
I
if
think
it
we
was an
just take it as an
indefinite sum.
annual, like we
Revisit.
did this year with the other stipends.
Basically, we're getting legal. We've been
Non-compliant.
previously been non-compliant in how we've handled that.
I appreciate you identifying it, Dr. Briggs, as an error, as you have identified certain things as well in addition to that. But thank you.
Yep. Welcome.
Any other questions for Mr. Balmer or Dr. Briggs? All right, Mr. Groen motioned and Ms. Overberg second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Request to approve the proposal from the McKibben Demographic Research Company. Dr. Briggs, do you want to explain that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so for a while now, we've talked about wanting to have a demographic study done where we can get a better pulse of who lives in our district, how old are they, and so we can kind of plan for our facilities as we move forward. I reached out to a couple. I think this was the third organization I reached out to. The first 2 did not do that. They were architects, which a lot of times architects will do that for you. CSO, our architect, they do not do that. So they referred me to this group, and in this group, I forget what Mr. McKibben had stated as far as the number of school districts in Indiana they have worked with. Just having some informal conversations with other superintendents. These guys do good work. I guess long story short is these guys aren't everywhere to provide this service. The cost is $4,000, and they will give us a very good idea of just what to anticipate in terms of growth based on school age or what will be school age children.
Any questions?
We gotta bring it to discussion first.
If we're discussing, yes, but if you just have a question based on the specific,
So you said our school corporation, are they doing the surrounding area as well? Just like in demographic numbers or?
I didn't recall anyone around us that they had done, but I know they had done some schools in the Indianapolis area. They've done some schools up in Fort Wayne, in that part of the state. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, just based on our area demographic, there's so much growth around us that is not in our school corporation.
Yep. So
I mean,
are
we,
they?
we can
are
go
they
a
go-
mile
Yep.
that way, less than a mile that way over Silver Creek, and there's 3 new subdivisions.
Yeah, that's a great. Yeah, and
It's a great
We need to
area, but-
ask them if
yeah.
that's what. Because you're right, is that we need to know not just in our district but our neighboring districts as well.
right?
Yeah. Because we border 3 or 4 districts.
Yeah, and we pick up
We-
and
we-
we pick
Greater
up
Clark-
students in a couple of them.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I will ask. I guess I will definitely ask him that. But I won't tell him it would be nice if he could do that. but I think at minimum, for $4,000, if we can just get whatever he was planning on doing. But yeah, it would be of value to us if he could expand his scope.
I mean, if it's just 1 mile outside the border, you're going to catch, I can tell you now, I mean, how many more different neighborhoods and apartment complexes are going around.
Any other questions? All right, do we have a motion to approve the demographic research?
I so move.
Ms. Overberg makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I'll give it to Ms. Franklin.
Yep.
Any discussion?
I just think it's important, if you have a question at home as to why that's needed, making a significant investment with taxpayer dollars. So we're trying to really gauge needs as we make that investment. And so that study will be really important for us to kind of see what we're looking at.
I agree. I think that's going forward with our new school corporations, knowing exactly what's being built, what's being owned, what's their growth, because then we have to, we're not planning for today or tomorrow. We're planning for the future of Silver Creek School Corporation. That's, as you know, space is very limited in our area, so we got to make sure we capitalize.
And we're making a lot of decision here based on, I know some information. I believe this was done maybe 4 or 5 years ago by the previous board, but things have changed. In Sellersburg specifically, things have changed by, the 2040 vision, the town manager coming in, and so I think we may even have more growth than what was looked at 4 or 5 years ago. And when you start looking at spending the amount of money that we have, we want to make sure that we're building for the success and we're just not coming up to what is in the immediate future, but more long-term planning instead of reactionary. So. Ms. Overberg made the motion. Ms. Franklin second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Briggs, the administrator fringe benefits addendum, can you go over that, please?
Yes. Besides the individuals, how much detail do you want?
Just what changes from their
Okay.
current?
Yep, absolutely. So for the following administrators, factoring in their raise that they've will receive based on your approval this evening, I'm just going to go through the list with name and new amount. I do not have previous amounts.
Okay.
Todd Bomber, his total, let me find it here, for 260 days is $100,094. That will be prorated to the 203 days since he didn't hire on as in his current position until, I believe, October 21. Abby Campbell, new salary. I find it. Well, Todd, am I missing them on here? Do they not have the totals?
Do we need specific salaries?
We're talking about fringe benefits is what's on the agenda.
Okay, well, then nothing has changed on the fringe benefits other than, it's still a 2-year contract and
All insurance is the same and whatnot.
all insurance is the same.
Then what exactly are we voting
Well,
on?
that's a good question. I thought we were approving their new salary numbers.
I did too, but I noticed those weren't on
They
there.
weren't on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
I think we've reviewed them and went over them enough that we know where they're at. I mean,
Okay.
I don't personally feel like I need everyone lined out. I feel like we've discussed that a multitude of times.
No,
And
I
feel
don't.
comfortable with where we're at.
I don't disagree, but then we need to make a motion to reword G, which is request to approve administrator fringe benefits to the new salary scale, correct?
I don't know that there's anything we really need to approve tonight then. If you guys have already approved
We've
their
already
new
approved
salaries.
their
This was
new
just,
salary on the last board
you
meeting.
did that the last board
So we
meeting.
can just delete this
Okay.
line. Yeah.
So we're going to delete G.
Yeah, because I compared them and didn't see any difference.
Right.
So I wasn't.
I honestly
sure about
thought
that.
maybe I missed something and we
No.
were changing their
Yeah,
benefits.
you did not.
And,
I missed something.
Okay.
In the future, please feel free to let me know that.
Yep. Sorry.
Earlier,
Or
we
not.
had, earlier we had the hearing on the 1300 fund appropriation. At this time, we request approval to settle the Silver Creek School Corporation portion of the 1300 fund. Do we have a motion to bring that to the table?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Grohl makes the motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Overberg seconds. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. And lastly, request to approve a resolution for additional appropriations. Anybody have a motion to bring that to the floor?
I so move.
Ms. Overberg makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Franklin seconds. Any discussion?
Can you just remind me what that is pertaining to?
Dr. Briggs, you want to?
Yes, we had the public hearing this evening for additional appropriations. The request from the board and from DLGF is to approve $1 million in additional appropriations for the education fund, which will allow us to pay our portion of the 1300 fund.
Okay, so that's separate than each?
One was for the budget change and the other is for the paying.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and just a note there on H, technically that will be just a claim that does not need pre-approval. However, I wanted to provide transparency. That is that's approximately $2.6 million claim, and I wanted the board to be crystal clear on what that was for.
Appreciate that.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. This time, any board member comments?
I'll just make a quick few. Welcome back, Mrs. Hawkins. It was good to hear your updates today. I just want to extend a sincere thank you to all of our administrators, Dr. Briggs, those who were involved in launching our after-school PALS program. That is a significant achievement that took a lot of buy-in from our building level leaders. Our superintendent, for one, I think he came fresh in after getting hired, and as you heard, 50 additional personnel coming into the buildings or being a part of the program. It took a lot of communication. It took a lot of work, extra outside of their regular job duties. And so I'm really appreciative of the people and the teachers and the staff who are participating in that program. It's benefiting a magnitude of our students. And so I just can't thank everyone enough. Anytime we do a program like that, that's never been done before, there's always questions and concerns. Can we get this done? What would this look like? What's the safety of our students look like? And every single one of those questions, I feel like were answered. And logistically, it took a lot of coordination. Carrie K. Hafer's not here tonight, but just the bus transportation alone, identifying all those students and doing additional drop-offs, along with our bus drivers stepping up and being willing to take on those roles. So you talk about everybody in the building that are current teachers, current building leaders, administrators who have facilitated this for our students. It just goes along with the culture of our district, which is that we will do anything we can and overcome any challenge to benefit our students. And so that's a significant achievement. And obviously, applying for the grant and those who are responsible for that should be thanked as well. But you mentioned earlier, $8,000 in expenses paid, $12,000 in direct supplies that went directly into our classrooms that also can be used during the day by our teachers. So I'm really, really proud and happy to see that take off. As soon as we kind of got it taken off and felt like we were being able to measure kind of where we were at, we had a great time to break and kind of reevaluate, and we'll continue to and improve and grow that program. The other thing I just want to mention, Chris, you mentioned in prayer tonight, we just have been hit hard by our some losses at our campus. But again, our community has consistently stepped up. And so, on our agenda that we get, we have the donations listed. If you look at that, we just have continued people that are identified as contributing to always make sure that our kids are taken care of. And so I'm appreciative of everybody in the community that does that. We take care of each other here at Silver Creek, and just thanks for everybody that's done that.
Anyone else?
I would just like to make a comment about we had to approve some specific pay scale changes. And I know a lot of work went into diving in and identifying that everyone was on the correct pay scale, job description and everything. And I just really appreciate the work that went into that and to getting everything right, so that it's, in place correctly going forward. And I'm glad that that's helped some of those that have not been on the right pay scales, specifically those who were in handling classrooms as a special area, that now they've been righted on the scale. So I think that's especially important for them and the others. That's it.
Sure. Yeah, Lisa, welcome back. Congratulations, Dr. Eckert. That's a very nice compliment. And will, like Chris said, it'll be hard for me to remember doctor every time, but I will try my hardest. Everything else too, what everybody's kind of also said is, all the condolences. Everybody's with our thoughts and our prayers. That what's had happened. Dr. Briggs, thank you again for getting us in compliance. Make sure you're following all that. And Mr. Balmer, thank you again for going through everything as well and making sure you're seeing the errors that we had previously. So I'd love to see us moving forward in right directions. And, thank all the teachers and admin for dealing with us as we go through this.
I just want to add to one thing with regards to the pay scales and getting everybody kind of lined out and corrected on where we needed to be. Echoing what Rachel said, it was a huge undertaking. I think we mentioned that a couple times. I think we do still have a few pieces of the puzzle, very minute of it, that we need to kind of correct, bus drivers being one that we're still looking at. But one thing I do have extreme confidence in is that Dr. Briggs is continuously identifying those needs and issues or concerns or things that need to be kind of righted. And so if you are part of our district and you feel like you still have questions, or maybe your specialty area or whatever has not been taken care of, we are 100% going to get there. So have that confidence in us as we keep moving forward.
Right. I just want to say that to our staff and our students, we are halfway through the year, and I congratulate you on that. And I want to wish all of our community members, our staff, our students, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we'll see you on the staff on the 3rd and students on the 4th. Any of you guys have anything you want to add before we ask for an adjournment?
Dearly missed for many reasons, but no, it's wonderful to have her back in the building. And I also want to echo Dr. Eckert. Actually, I just want to say it again, Dr. Eckert. But I know there's a lot of hard work and time that goes into earning that degree. So well done. I also want to thank, I know it was mentioned on one of our schools, but or maybe multiple, but I think all of our schools put a lot of time and energy to identify families and extend a helping hand to make sure they have a very good Christmas. And being a part of that before, I can tell there's a lot of time and energy that goes into finding people who are willing to give donations for that. And again, as you echoed, we always have a community who's willing to step up, and how special that is. There's no better feeling when families come in and you're able to provide them with something for their family to make the Christmas special for them. So a big thanks to all the work that goes on behind the scenes, because it's very encumbersome. So thank you to them. Definitely want to thank our teachers and staff, and I just really wish them a great break. Hopefully they have a wonderful time with their families. Well deserved. It was still a very challenging first semester, but we are lucky to have a dynamite staff in our buildings, and I echo that. And I'll always end. I am so grateful to be a Dragon and work with such a wonderful staff, including our board and Dr. Briggs and Ms. Hawkins and all our central office staff. It's wonderful to be a member. It's not always easy, but you always feel supported and cared about, and I think that's what makes our Dragon family so special.
Dr. Eckert, congratulations again. I echo everything that Mr. Balmer just said. Ms. Hawkins, welcome back. Glad to have you back. To the board, thank you for everything you've approved here this evening. And then I'll just finish with, it's been a great semester, and everybody get their rest over the next 2 weeks, because we're back at it again here before you know it. Thank you.
One more thing. Thank you, Mr. Bright, for bringing that information to the board about what you're passionate about with the courtyards.
Anything else? We have a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Miss Overberg is always the first. Do we have a second? Mr. Groen seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting adjourned.